What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be breaking down two options off a heavy step. We're going to be breaking down the hip swivel and the inverted hip swivel. We're going to be doing drills to progress off the hip swivel and the inverted hip swivel to be able to break down the mechanics and eventually use them in game-like situations. So first, we're going to be breaking it down, then we're going to drill it, and then from there, we're going to put ourselves in a live game situation to be able to understand and be able to implement this move during game-like situations. Let's go. All right, the first heavy step we're gonna be breaking down is the hip swivel. All right, and I want you to picture a defender right in front of you, and your defender is guarding you on your inside hip. Right? You can use a hip swivel in transition, you can use a hip swivel at the half court, you can use a hip swivel off a ball screen, just really depends on the situation. So you gotta make sure that you're picking the right situation to use this move. So let's say I have my defender on my inside, I'm driving with my right hand. I wanna get my defender, right, to turn their hips or open their hips to the midline to get them to think that I'm gonna make an exchange movement. So by driving, I'm going with my right hand, my left foot's gonna hit the floor as the ball hits the floor, and the ball's gonna float, right? Notice my hips are facing that corner and that baseline. I wanna rotate my hips to the middle, right? And pivot my left foot to the middle, right? Now my hips are facing that middle. My defender's gonna open their stance. As soon as I see them opening up their stance, I'm getting downhill to the rim or creating space right into a jump shot. All right, so the key is to make sure that you open your hips to the midline, get your defender, right, off their defensive stance, and we're driving downhill for a basket. All right, so we're gonna be breaking down a progression drill for you guys to work on your hip swivel. All right, so you're gonna start off with your right hand on the right hand block area or baseline area, all right? The ball's gonna be on your right-hand side and you're gonna drive all the way up to the same side elbow, right? You're driving with your right hand, full speed. You can take it slow if you don't understand the movement first. Full speed. As I get here, right, at that elbow, my inside foot is going to stick to the floor. The ball's gonna pop up and we're gonna get into that hip swivel. Notice how I rotate my hips, right, which allows me to get into that hip swivel. And from there, I'm gonna be driving across the rim and we're finishing at that rim. Got it? So the key, making sure that you're driving full speed, right, at that elbow, left foot hits, inside foot hits. Let the ball float as the ball floats. Turn your hips, rotate your hips, and we're finishing at the rim. We're gonna get 10 finishes on the right and then 10 finishes with the left. Let's check it out. All right, guys, so now we're gonna get into a game-like situation coming off a ball screen. We're gonna use the hip swivel and the inverted hip swivel, right? So I have my two cones, which represents my screen, and then I have the bottom cone, which is the person that's guarding the screen. Right? It's very important that you're setting up your defender, the person that's guarding you, away from the screen, and then set them up to the screen. So if I have my defender wanting to come up above the screen, I can add that bump so my defender can get caught up with that screen. As I come off the screen, right, my left foot will swivel right towards that middle. So it's gonna rotate towards that middle. What this is gonna do is get this defender to think that I'm gonna stop or not exchange to my left-hand side, right? So left foot, ball and foot hit at the same time, ball and foot, ball floats up, left foot swivels to the middle, and then we're getting downhill and making the play. We're gonna be going over 3 different options. The first option will be a hip swivel right into a under drag, so I'm getting downhill, hip swivel right into a under drag, and then I'm popping up. The second option will be a hip swivel, quick partial step, right? So as I get into my hip swivel, quick partial step to really simulate that pickup. And then my third one will be a pro hop finish, and we're finishing on the left-hand side. You set up your defender away from the screen. Set him up. Hey, take him to the screen. Oh, swivel off it. Oh, under, toe tap, knock it down. Set up your defender away from the screen. Drive. Oh. Push off the screen tight. Simple. All right, so now we're gonna go into a progression drill, all right, to break down and work on the mechanics for the inverted heavy step. So We're gonna start at the baseline, just like we did with the hip swivel. We're gonna be driving with our right hand to the elbow. At the elbow, that's my accountability. So I'm driving to the elbow, right? Now, instead of me digging and planting my inside foot, right, I'm gonna switch it around. I'm gonna dig and plant my outside foot, right? So now my hips are going to swivel towards that sideline, and ball and foot hit at the exact same time. So as the ball and foot hit at the exact same time, I turn my hips, right? I hip swivel towards the outside, and then I let my foot take its time hitting the floor, right? That's where the heavy step comes in. So right foot, ball and foot hit at the same time, turn your hips, boom, ball and foot hit at the same time. We're driving all the way to the half court line. As I get to the half court line, I'm gonna make a behind the back. So now the ball will be on my left-hand side to be able to rep both sides. So now I'm driving with my left at the elbow, right? My left foot is going to hit the elbow now. Once my left foot hits the elbow, I'm turning and rotating my hips towards that sideline. My right foot becomes my heavy step. Ball and foot hit at the exact same time, and we're getting to the rim, and we're finishing with our left hand. So we gotta get 10 finishes with the left hand, and then we're gonna switch it over and get 10 finishes with our right hand. Let's go. All right, guys, so now we're gonna get into the inverted hip swivel coming off a ball screen. I wanna get the person that's guarding me to think that I'm gonna refuse it and spin away from the screen, right? So we're gonna add this inverted hip swivel. So I have my defender guarding me up front. I drive, my defender cheats up away from the screen, right? I wanna get my defender to come back and think that I'm gonna spin and exchange sides and go off to my left-hand side. So I need to let the ball float, and I'm gonna pivot my outside step. So I'm driving, get my defender to come up. I refuse it. I show that I'm gonna refuse it. I put that ball down. Now my defender is away from me, and I can create space to finish off that. We're gonna go over 3 different options with this finish. The first one will be a punch drag side step, right? The second one will be an inverted, right, 3-point shot. The third one will be a turn dribble floater. All right, 3 different options off the inverted hip swivel. Let's go. All right, third option, going into that in and out float off the invert. Lift, up, flow. Right? Guys, don't forget, these skill movements that we work on is for you guys to eventually implement them and use them during game-like situations. All right, it's not just for you guys to work on them and not use them. All right, we're trying to build a foundation for you guys to work and train on your own to up your game to the next level. All right, follow our social media if you want to up your game to the next level. We appreciate your support, and we'll catch you next time. Let's go.